Welcome to the Tom Bernard Show and the Family with
co-host Catherine Brandt,
Alex Brandt Bernard Rasmussen,
Andy Brandt Bernard,
and Kristen Burt.
See, I do it their way and my way.
Yeah.
So I have to say, welcome to the Tom Bernard Show and the family.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
and KB.
And also
You've been around for so long, you're part of the family.
Part of the family, anyway.
The random kid that won't go away.
Kristen Burt Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I actually have a random kid that won't go away story to tell.
Oh, dear.
The random kid who wouldn't go away was Ethan yesterday.
Oh, dear.
So we stopped by the park on the way home, and there was a bunch of 8-year-olds who were all in the same class. They were playing on the park.
Mhm.
You know, they were being like roughhousing 8-year-olds.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan just goes over to them and starts playing with them too, getting knocked over and falling over all over the place, and
And they're
just,
like,
just kept getting back up and kept
Okay.
at it. And eventually they gave him a nickname. They started calling him Tiny Kid.
Tiny kid.
Yeah, he was playing chasing with them and pushing the swings, and he got hit in the head by them on the swings a couple times by accident.
sure.
Didn't even
I
care.
tell you, we have a football player in the making.
Yeah, we sure do.
I
think
love the
so.
fact the kid as big as he is at 3 is called Tiny Kid. The kid's huge.
Well, he had quite the day yesterday,
Well,
ripping
to an
open
8-year-old, he's a tiny kid.
Yeah.
open his toenail to the point of blood
Oh,
everywhere.
Yeah. That was kind of rough.
Stop it. Yeah, we couldn't even do the podcast because of that. Family
to rush him in.
emergency. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't hear
Yeah,
about
we
that?
didn't
Yeah.
do it.
Oh.
Well, so how did it work out, Andy?
He ended up being fine, but he was, pretty unhappy for quite some
You
time.
couldn't do the podcast because Ethan ripped his toenail.
Well, it happened as I was leaving. And Colin also was screaming because he needed to go to bed. So, yeah, it was just extremely bad timing. I had to stay and help Ethan while Melissa put Colin to bed, and then, that sort of thing. And by the time everyone had been done screaming, the show would have been going. So,
What is Jude doing? Why are you eating the lamp?
He's
Well,
licking everything. It's all coated.
He licks everything. It's just
Caramel.
unbelievable.
I'm going to go get his yogurt.
Go get his yogurt. That's a good idea.
Dog yogurt.
Okay, I'm sure that everybody in the family knows this, but Kristen, I have to warn you. You can't. There's one word you can't use on the show today.
Okay.
Twins.
Oh, baseball.
That team is horrendous. I mean, the ownership, the management, the players, the hitting, most of the pitching. There are a couple of decent pitchers. That is the worst Twins team I have ever seen.
Maybe you should become a Dodgers fan.
Yeah, maybe I should. Dodgers are good this year, aren't they?
They were good last year. They won
Yeah.
the World Series. I almost said
Won
the
the
Super
World
Bowl,
Series.
but it is the World Series. I know. the difference.
Well, close enough. That's
Yep.
not a problem. No, it's tough because you look back
Jude.
and now what?
I stepped on a squeaky toe.
Stepped on a squeaky toy.
It wasn't Jude.
But I started at KQRS in 1986. At the end of the year of 86, I predicted the Twins would win the World Series in 1987. And they did win the World Series in 1987.
Sure did.
I've been a huge fan since I was 9 years old. They win it again in 1991. Same players, Gaetti, Herbeck, Tim Laudner. You go down the list of people, just wonderful players. They haven't won anything since. That team has been dreadful now for 34 years, and it ain't getting any better because they won't spend any money on the team. They're $450 million in debt. Now, this is a family of billionaires. How can you be that far in debt? I don't get it.
I don't know. You need to invest in a Shohei Ohtani type
Yeah.
of player.
Oh,
you
got
do.
that right. That's true. That's what you got to do. You got to spend money to win now, and apparently the Pohlads are not interested. Look, I love the Pohlads buying the team and winning 2 World Series. The only 2 World Series Twins have ever won. They were owned by the Pohlads. So, I can't just turn my back on them or stab them in the back. But the last 34 years has been just horrendous.
There's a lot of Twins fans that we're not going to a game till the Pohlads sell.
I know.
And that's baseball games are fun to go to. I don't really particularly like baseball, but it's fun to go to the stadium. And a lot of the stadiums have upped their food. You know, they do
Yeah.
Really
trendy
nice,
foods
yes.
and weird things, and so you get to try all these foods. But if you don't have a winning team, there's no reason to go back after you do your one
Right.
visit over the summer.
I agree.
And that's the problem. The city of Minneapolis, I believe the state of Minnesota invested a lot of money in building that. They have a beautiful stadium.
Gorgeous, yes.
Beautiful.
It's really nice.
You know, they got the great football stadium, they got baseball stadium, they have these magnificent venues, but the teams don't win. So maybe it's time to sell the team. It just doesn't seem to me like the Twins, the Pohlads even care. Look, like I said, they won 2 World Series, so God bless them. But if you don't want to win, and I know they're trying to sell the team, but nobody wants it.
I
That's
thought
the
they
problem.
made it. They had an offer, but it was a couple of $100 million short.
It was at least a couple of $100 million short.
Can you imagine? A couple of $100 million.
Is the city also willing to invest? Because I look at Las Vegas, which had no sports teams, and now they
Right.
are a booming
Right.
sports town, and everyone has to be on the same page in terms of committing to making this work.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the biggest problem we got in Minnesota is what we're committed to in Minnesota is sucking huge. Because our basketball team,
It's great.
no, they're not. They got
No.
their ass handed again yesterday.
Yesterday, oh, they had a bad game. They suck. They're terrible. They're the
That
worst
team is
ever.
not very good. I'm sorry.
they
Everybody
are.
thinks they're wonderful. And the team sucks.
Have you
What
been
does the
to a game?
stats say?
Have
What do
you
the stats
seen-
say?
Yeah, like
Yeah, what
Yes.
do the stats say? What's
Yeah, what does
basketball
stats
team
say,
called?
Alex?
the
Minnesota
Timberwolves.
basketball.
They got slaughtered yesterday, didn't they?
They had a bad game. One
Yeah,
bad
that's going to
game.
happen.
They had a bad
They had
game.
like 8 wins in a row or something. They had the second longest winning streak in NBA history or something. a
You
couple
can't
weeks ago.
include games that they play against each other in the A squad and B squad games. So that's what
We
you're
are
talking.
currently 8th in the Western Conference.
That
Eighth.
doesn't- But here's the thing about basketball.
That's not,
Here's the thing about basketball, though. That can change so quickly
it's true.
because
Believe
the
me.
way
They play 100,000 games.
Yeah, they
so-
play so many games, and like depending on who they play, it can like, the next game they play, they could all of a sudden be 4th. Like it
That's
just
true.
basketball, the
We'll see.
8th in the conference or whatever. I have been to many games.
I was at the
year?
beginning. I used to go all the time at the beginning. You can ask your mother,
I'm saying
but
this.
I just
I'm saying this year, like the
I know.
current team.
Well, the top teams in the Western and Eastern conferences both lost their previous game. So,
Like teams do lose,
They sure do.
and if you're really good,
yeah, 8th place. That's all I have to say.
Do you guys have a hockey team?
Oh yeah.
we're
Oh,
the
this is
state of
hockey.
hockey,
State of
but
hockey.
we've
State of
never
hockey.
won the Stanley Cup.
Well, I know, but why can't I think of the name? Minnesota, the
Wild.
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 That's
It was
right.
the
The
North
North
Stars.
Stars.
It was the North Stars, because I was going to say Minnesota Stars, but North Stars. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I will never forget it. You just gave me the great memory. The owner of that team, Norm, I can't remember his last name, but he owned the Minnesota North Stars. And he called on me and said, would you have lunch with me? I have something that I have to tell you, and I want to tell you, because I had the highest rated morning show in America. So I sit down at lunch with him, and the whole time he told me he was going to move the team to Dallas, I wasn't listening to a word he said because he had a big hair hanging out of his nose, and every time he talked, it would move.
Oh, no.
That's always fun.
I get
will never
hyper
forget that.
fixated on that too, and I cannot. Like if there's a booger in someone's nose, I'm like,
Or how about the crazy eyebrows? Sometimes it's just
Yeah.
the crazy
That too, yeah.
eyebrows. It's like, man, just groom them. It's not that hard.
And of course,
Yeah.
the Wild suck. They're terrible. So I don't know what the
how
problem
can
is with hockey.
Town and
Yeah.
have a terrible hockey.
I know.
Yeah, like
That's Minnesota.
a lot of the best hockey players come to Minnesota
Yep,
in high school to train,
Yeah.
they do.
and then
My high school was a
Right.
feeder school too, into a lot of like the NCAA teams, and but a lot of the kids that would wind up like on the Yukon team and stuff would always be from Minnesota.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's where we are with sports, ladies and gentlemen. Just twisting in the wind
Not
like they have been.
bitter at all.
No, I'm not bitter about the teams at all. There's no
Speaking
question
of
about
twisting in the wind, a
Yeah.
listener sent me a text message for a tracking number for USPS that he wanted me to look at.
it. Mm-hmm.
So he ordered some coffee mugs, looks like in March 24th.
March
So
24th. Okay.
I got the whole tracking history of the mugs right here.
So we got about a couple of weeks in here.
Yeah, so there's coffee mugs, and they started at Minneapolis, and they're going to, where are they going to? Somewhere in Minnesota, so not far. So on the 24th, they were in Minneapolis. Then they went to Mankato, then St. Paul,
Okay.
back to Minneapolis, to Waite Park, to Brainerd, to Bemidji, to Little Fork, back to St. Paul, back to Minneapolis, and then it got caught in a loop for about 2 weeks. Waite Park, Brainerd, Bemidji, Little Fork, St. Paul, Minneapolis. It's been doing that every day since.
What? It's gotten a tour of the state.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
currently in
it has.
Bemidji, and if I had to guess, I would say it's probably be going to St. Paul in the next day or two.
That's insane.
It's just like caught in like some sort of weird shipping limbo. I've never seen
Yeah.
that before.
That's weird.
It's stuck in a portal.
2 weeks of just doing a circle around the state.
Well, I posted on X about that little Yorkie that was missing for 5 years. It during a hurricane in 2020.
Oh,
I think
God.
the woman lived in Texas. The dog has been gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
It showed up at a fraternity house on the back porch. Looked just fine. The kids took it in. They were like calling him Benji. They were like, "Hey, maybe we have a new Yorkie." I don't know. And then finally, one of them took him in and had his chip read
Oh, yeah.
and reunited it with the owner. Where has this dog been for
5 years.
years?
Louisiana. Yeah. Her beloved Yorkie who was missing for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of life did that Yorkie live? Like, you want to
Exactly.
know, and you can't ask them.
No.
No, you can't.
Yorkie. I mean,
And the chip
I know.
doesn't track
Those
like
aren't-
where it's been, right?
No.
There's like not
That's
any Jeep.
that needs to be the next step. I guess
That
you could
would
put
be
an
really-
air tag on your
Yeah,
animal.
for real.
That would
That's
help.
true.
Yeah.
That might be a good thing.
I
couldn't
just heard
believe
about
it.
this morning. I did like a Peloton treadmill workout, and like I do these things where this one teacher specifically goes over like current news things, but it's not like news. It's like this Yorkie was
Yeah.
lost for 5 years, and it's funny that you brought that up because I just heard about it this morning during that.
Well, that's very nice that the frat guys even bothered
Yeah.
taking it to a
Yep.
vet to have the chip
Like
read. They might have just
Charles, Louis-
kept it because it seemed like a nice
yeah.
little dog.
Okay,
It's
Kingston went
fine.
missing Lake Charles, Louisiana after Hurricane Laura in 2020.
Wow.
Oh my God, a
2020.
hurricane.
This week
And just a
he turned up-
reminder to chip your animals, by the way, even
Yes,
if they're indoor
yes,
pets.
absolutely.
and
Even
put
if
a
they're-
collar on them with your.
Well,
Well,
collars can
collars-
fall off.
They can,
you know.
but
Yeah.
do
The
both.
chipping seems to get animals returned a lot faster.
for sure.
Because my cats are indoor, obviously, but they're both chipped too.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
My
It
God.
No
doesn't
reason
take
not
much.
to, really.
This week he turned up 300 miles away from home on the back porch of Kappa Sigma fraternity house at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Yeah.
well, shout out to Kappa Sigma.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boys at Kappa Sigma. I walk outside and there's just this Yorkie sitting there in a red T-shirt.
And it had a T-shirt.
For
It
5
did-
years, it was wearing the T-shirt.
I think somebody found it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
kept
And,
it
like,
for a while, and then
taking
it
care of
ran
it.
away or something. I don't know.
Maybe the Yorkie's an escape artist because there are some animals that are escape
Yeah,
artists.
true.
So-
I have a friend who has a like border collie mix who like will climb a fence 6 feet high to just be able to go roam the streets and then come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
like
we used to have a pony that would show up at the neighbor's
Yes.
bird bath.
We
Yeah,
did.
It was
Delicious.
bodies at the bird bath.
Prince is over here drinking out of my
it's
bird bath.
Yes.
Okay,
And we
I'll
never
come
knew
get
how
it.
we got out.
Fence wasn't down, gates weren't open. Who knows how that?
No
pony
idea
got
how we got out. And it happened all the time. I love that.
Well, we can close the segment by saying that there's no worry about Jude because he never is more than 1 foot away from either Catherine or me.
That's
That's
very
true.
true.
He won't go anywhere without being next to mostly Catherine.
Yeah, he's like that.
He
There was-
is
I
like,
was-
person.
I am a board member of the Booster Club of Fawn's Dance Studio, blah, blah, blah. And this one of the members of the Booster Club has a brand new dachshund that's like 8 weeks old or something.
Oh, they're
And-
psychos.
Somebody else tried to hold him, and the
Uh-oh.
entire time he was just like
Mhm.
staring at his mom.
I know. Some dogs.
Oh my gosh.
Like you're going to be
that's
fine.
Jude.
Yeah.
Calm
That would be
down.
Jude.
We're trying to socialize him, and it's not going well.
You will be just fine.
Yeah, I know.
No.
It's pretty funny.
Keep doing it though.
Well, let's take a break here. Be right back because Kristen Burt has to tell us what's going on in Hollywood right after this. Kristen Burt Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Back in a couple minutes with Kristen Burt. from Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Pally?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands-free, but you can't have your phone in your hands for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made them forget. And now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
Let's talk about my bank. That'd be North American Banking Company. Look, it's easy to feel like just another account number at big national banks, but that's not how it works with my friends at North American Banking Company. Whether you're visiting their locations in Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, or Maple Grove, you'll always find real people who know you by name and actually care about your finances, not some AI chat bot. They also offer all the modern conveniences you expect, like online and mobile banking, but with a personal touch that only a community bank can offer. So why settle for less when you can bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Visit nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. All right, what's going on in Hollywood?
So many things. I think this is interesting because we've talked about Disney quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And Bob Iger still does not have the heir apparent who is going to take over his job when he leaves, because he's supposed to be retiring at some point in the next year.
Right.
And this is kind of inside baseball, but there's a rumor going around that they really want Ted Sarandos, who is the co-CEO of Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Which would be a kind of interesting, right? Mm-hmm. Would be a very big game changer for Disney, because Disney has really struggled over the last 5-6 years or so. And Reed Hastings is the other co-CEO over at Netflix. But the reason why they're focusing in on Ted is that he likes to go to events. Like, he likes to be out there. He's not just showing up at the Oscars. He's the guy that will show up at the smaller award shows. He's the guy that has comedians over his house on Friday nights just to hang out. He is someone that doesn't necessarily toe that politically correct line. He's willing to take some risks here and go, hey, you know what? I think we need to protect this. Like, he was someone who defended Dave Chappelle when he had his stand-up comedy special and people pushed back on it. So they're hoping to try and lure him over, although he's saying nobody's contacted me yet. But it seems like everyone is kind of throwing it out there into the public landscape to see how interested everyone really is.
I just think that they need to do a lot with that brand. They got too big, too comfortable, and just started making, we have a huge voice now. Let's just start using our voice.
They don't innovate anymore.
They don't innovate. People aren't enjoying the parks. If you go to a day at Disneyland, let's just say like a random Tuesday, not talking about peak times, it is so packed. And remember, we don't have the footprint and the land that Orlando has, where it's
Right,
nice and spread
right.
out more. You are just getting trampled by strollers. I mean, you get into Cars Land in the back there. It's so uncomfortable that people are saying something has to give because the magic is gone. And that was the reason why you went to
Yeah, absolutely.
Disney. And now everyone's hightailing it over to Universal, which just opened their new park in Orlando.
Epic Universe.
Epic looks amazing.
I know, and we're going up to Orlando this weekend because we've been Disney Vacation Club members for many years. And we had 26 points that were either going to be thrown in the garbage or we had to use them. So I found a room for our 26 points this weekend. So we're going to so we're driving up Friday night, spending the day probably at Epcot. Yeah, at Epcot, because
I love
I'm just
Epcot.
like, yeah, I know, I love Epcot too. And it's just so much more manageable. You don't have to be there for 14 hours to see everything, which is nice. And now they've got fast passes that go to Ratatouille and everything else. So that's really good too. But the tickets were like $500 for 2 people. I was like, wait a minute. We're Florida residents. We're supposed to get a break. You can only get a break if you go 3 or 4 days. Then you get a really big break. But then it's like, okay, that's not really great if you just want to hop up there for a weekend. And then we're going to jump over to go to Universal, and I wanted to go to Epic. You can't get in this whole month. There's no tickets.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
Yep. Next month you can go, but not
Can you
this
go
month.
to any of the other parks within Universal or just Epic?
Yeah, I don't. No, they do have a park hopper, but I didn't look into that because we're only up there for a day, so I didn't know if I could hop back and forth or not.
Yeah,
But
probably.
yeah.
Courtesy of Tire Carver, Universal Land or whatever opens May 22nd.
Epic.
Is that what it's called? I thought
Yeah,
it was
Epic Universe.
Epic Universe, that's what it is.
Epic Universe, and then
Universe.
there's 4 lands within Epic Universe.
Yes. There's
Yeah.
Mario, and then there's 3 others that don't.
Harry Potter is one,
Oh, are you?
and then
oh,
there's one with the
Islands of
monsters.
Adventure. That's
Yeah.
what Harry Potter's in.
Oh, it is?
Well,
there's
there's
a
new
one.
Harry
Oh,
Potters.
there's a new
There's
one.
new Harry Potter, yeah.
There's the
And-
Ministry of Magic, so it's not Diagon Alley again. It's just the Ministry of Magic, so it's a new thing. There's still going to be Diagon Alley, I think. And
Yeah,
there's also
so-
going to be the Ministry of Magic. There's also Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, Dark Universe. which
Dark
appears
Universe
to be
looks
like
awesome.
spooky
Yeah.
stuff.
But the
Yeah.
thing with that is, what's the youngest you would take somebody, like a kid, to that type of thing?
6.
I was going to say 8.
I was gonna say 10. Fawn can't fit on, I don't think, hardly any of the rides at Harry
Well,
Potter
I mean,
World.
yeah, if we're talking about like going on all the rides and stuff, no, it would
That's
have
what I
to
mean.
be
Like, in order for it to be worth your money and go and be able to do all the rides, yeah, the youngest I'd say would be 8.
You have to see the
Yeah.
height restrictions because me
Yeah.
as an 8-year-old, I was itty bitty and I
Yeah,
wouldn't
Fawn
have.
can't.
Right.
Yeah, Fawn can't ride most of the rides at like Universal, and she would want to because she's too little. Like, it's really overwhelming when you're that small to be thrown around. And so, I mean, Disney World is its own separate thing. It's not like it's apples and oranges. It's not
Yeah.
apples and apples.
basically.
Well, so we're spending the day at Universal, and if you stay in one of their resorts, you get early access, you get fast passes for not any more money.
Oh.
Ah.
I know,
That's
it's like a
big.
much better deal to go to Universal. So Disney is going to have to figure something out. They're either going to have to do another land that's appealing to people, or just start doing some better movies and things.
Just
don't
even a basic to the parks, just with where the economy is too, they're going to have to pivot very quickly, I think, and try and figure out those fast passes, the day rates. And Disneyland is a Southern California local park for us. So make it appealing for us to go down. I used to have an annual pass, and I would go on a Friday and I would go and have dinner with my friends. We'd ride like 3 rides and we'd go back home. And even with the way they do, I think it's Disney, their key passes, I think that's what they're called now. They're just not affordable anymore. And there's no reason for me to want to go down and battle traffic.
No.
And I think it's $35 for parking.
And $35 to park.
It's a park. That's ridiculous.
It
It
is
is.
ridiculous. And also, I mean, just getting a dinner reservation at a Disney World resort restaurant is, you have to do it a year or 6 months in advance or something. And that's
6
only
months.
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
I must agree with you. It's kind of going to be kind of tough when we go there on Friday night because it'll be the first time I've been at Disney since we went a couple of years ago. We walk in the park. This is at Disney World, right?
Yep.
What's it called? The main
Magic
one?
Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom?
Magic Kingdom. We walk into Magic Kingdom. I look over my shoulder, and about 100 feet away is one of my best friends, Pat Eberts, Catherine's cousin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Catherine's cousin. We didn't know he was going. He didn't know we were going. We just happened to run into him.
We were in line
Dan-
for what was it?
Dan was the one that was like, "Is that Pat Eberts?"
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, he just happened to be there at the same
He happened to be
time.
there at the same
he
time.
did.
Wild.
Now, why is that sad? Because Pat died last year. So.
But isn't that nice? You have that memory.
Oh God, yes,
It's,
absolutely.
you know, there's something
You guys want to
about that.
Yeah, I like it.
One other Disney memory I have, when Bob Iger was there, I got gifts like there was no tomorrow because he had the highest rated morning show in America,
Yeah,
and Disney owned
When
it.
they owned KQ, yeah.
So he was just wonderful. Then he left for a while.
A long time.
Yeah, a long time he left. As soon as he left, I had to get passes to Disney World from other people because I wasn't a direct employee. They wouldn't give me free passes, even though I was making them about $40 million a minute.
They were.
You know who you sound like? Shonda Rhimes.
Oh,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
Shonda Rhimes was making buckets of money for Disney ABC with Grey's Anatomy. She had private practice. She had a bunch of shows, Station 19. She asked for one additional pass,
Yeah.
which cost $154.
Yep.
And they gave her a hard time, but they eventually gave it to her. She gets to the gate, and the ticket was not good. And so she had to call the executives, and whoever the executive was, he goes, "It's $154. You can afford it." You know,
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's true.
he's
she
like,
can.
"Your other free tickets weren't good enough," and she called her agent from the park and said, "Make that Netflix deal," and that was the end of Shonda at ABC Disney.
Wow, a petty rivalry over a $154 ticket.
Well,
I love it.
show some gratitude.
To Tom's point, when
Yeah.
you're making someone bucket loads of money, $154 should be. You don't even think about it. You go, I
Right.
get it. It's an extra ticket, but we're going to invest that $154
Yeah.
in the talent that's making me all the money.
That's true.
When Bob Iger was there the first time around, before he came back, but the first time around, I would get calls from him like he was my best friend. He would call and go, "Tom, I just want to thank you again. You're doing a great job for us, making us a ton of money, and I just want you to know that I appreciate it." And he was amazing.
A whole different world back then.
Whole different
Well,
world
now you
back
can
then.
barely get anything free anymore.
That's-
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean,
Tom, were
sports
you?
teams are chintzy.
I was going to say, was Michael Eisner ever in charge of Disney when you were?
Oh, Michael and I did not get along at all. Because I didn't know that he was in town. He was in Minneapolis. Because what was the play that opened in Minneapolis that Disney produced?
King.
What was
Lion
it?
King.
Lion King, yeah.
Lion King. Yes,
remember
they had
going
all
to see
these
that.
weird puppets and
Yeah,
It's
people on
such a good show. Don't
on
even
that.
start.
I don't know.
I said,
I was like, "Where's JTT? Come on."
I was asked the next day after I went to the opening at downtown Minneapolis, and I was asked the next day, and my listeners always know that I've never lied to them. I'm not going to make stuff up. It's not going to happen. I was asked on the show, what did you think of the play? And I said, I thought it sucked. I thought it was terrible. Well, Michael Eisner called in and wanted to know if I could be fired for what I said, and they said, no, we cannot fire him. He wanted me fired for
Well,
that.
you don't have to love everything Disney produces.
No, of course not.
That's very true.
It's a great show. It's Tony Award winning. It was innovative for its time.
yeah.
But again, you don't have to. Art is subjective, and and not everyone
Exactly.
should have the same opinion. But
It was very
and the-
artsy.
Yes.
But I do think your opinion's wrong.
Well, that's fine, but don't fire me.
So wrong.
Now she's going to fire me from this show.
Oh, you're fired. You're your own show. No,
I know. It is amazing sometimes how you really, really like a song or you really, really like something. It's like everybody else hates it. It's like, what's wrong with you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah.
When you think about it, though, sometimes when that like one TV show, like everybody's obsessed with it. Game of Thrones is a really good one for me.
Yeah.
I just don't get into the fantasy genre. It is
Yeah,
my
I
brain
never-
doesn't wrap around it. And
Too
everyone,
rapey.
it was appointment television. They were having viewing parties, and I'm like, I do not want to watch 1 second of that show.
No.
Yeah. I can't think of anybody I want to watch sibling rape with.
Yeah, there you go.
Not
Can't
rape.
think of
It's
anybody I
incest.
want to watch that with.
Sensual mom. It's
Oh, whatever.
different.
I don't
gotta
want to
tell-
watch that.
See, now, coming off my almost getting fired by Michael Eisner, I love working with Vinnie Tortorich. He's a great guy. I look down, he's sitting there waiting to come on the show. He just, this guy, I just watched one of his specials, as a matter of fact, a couple of days ago. Oh, you brought Vinnie on. Vinnie,
There he is.
put your headphones on,
As a
Vinnie.
matter of fact,
now.
Vinny,
I was very busy looking up Kristen Burt and figured out she taught people the electric slide and the hokey pokey.
Yep.
That's correct.
There you
That's
go.
correct.
Now I'm up on everything. But Tom, I was listening closely to your Michael Eisner thing, and when my podcast got popular back around 2013 or 14, KABC wanted me to come on.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll just put you on Sundays and the whole thing, and we want you to be irreverent the way you are on the podcast. Okay, I can do that because I had done radio, WSMB down in New Orleans years before.
Sure.
Orleans.
Love it.
I go in. I'm on for several weeks, and they're like, "Look, you're popular, so we're going to start dropping you in when other people can't come in. Would you mind coming in?" It's like, "Sure, as long as you pay me. I don't mind. I'm a whore."
There you
So I started
go.
doing that.
Loud
Then
and proud.
they called me in for a Saturday show to go take over someone's show and said, do whatever you want. But you have to talk for an hour, and then it goes right into the Kings hockey game. So I'm on for an hour, and I said, everyone stay tuned. I said, as a matter of fact, I don't know why you would stay tuned because I don't understand why anyone would listen to hockey on the radio. It's Southern California. It's 83 degrees. Get out to Santa Monica. Go to the beach. What are you doing listening to a hockey game on the radio? Jesus Christ, folks. Well, it turns out one of the owners of KBC
Uh-oh.
owns the Kings.
Yeah.
Oh,
And he heard my little post-preamble going into the preamble of his hockey game. And he goes, I don't want that guy. And it's like, and then they wanted to censure me. Oh, you got to do this. You got to do that. You got to pretend you like.
tone it down, right?
And I was like, you guys hired me because you said, not my words, theirs. We need you to be the Howard Stern type of this radio
There
station.
you go.
I wasn't even getting into, whores and crack and whatever Howard Stern was talking about. I just mentioned that hockey, as Rodney Dangerfield once says, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I'm not even getting irreverent. I'm just saying hockey sucks when you could be at the beach.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a good point. Kristen has to go, unfortunately. Why don't you quit your other job, Kristen?
Her many jobs.
Yeah, your many other jobs, exactly. But I wanted you and Vinny to meet. But maybe you guys already knew one another out there. in
No,
Los
we
Angeles.
don't.
No.
So nice to meet you, Vinny.
It's
they're
a pleasure
both-
to meet you, Chris. I need to get you on my my podcast so we could talk about the hokey pokey because I can't dance at all.
Oh, I don't
Listen,
believe it.
if your listeners want all like the inside gossip on Dancing with the Stars, I've got it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to get Andy to maybe hook you and me up, and we'll bring you on the show because my wife informed me last night. She goes, hey, I got us signed up for a line dancing thing.
Oh, God.
And I said, honey, you signed up for a line dancing thing. I'm busy that night. She goes, I didn't even tell you which night it was. I went, exactly.
You'll
So
have
maybe you can teach me how to
fun.
dance.
It's a good date night, Vinny.
Yeah,
It's a
you'll
good
have
date night.
fun.
You'll have a really good time. Yeah,
Okay,
no, I
Kristen.
would love to do it.
You should do it. You two should work together. But let me say this. Kristen, on your way out, do you think it would be a good idea for, and it's been 15, 16, 17 years from you or whatever, do you think it would be a good idea for Vinny and me to go to a bar and start drinking together?
No.
I don't either.
I am not going to
Everybody would
encourage
get-
that. No.
Everybody'd get burned to the ground. We'd sit there and just rail on them all night.
Yeah,
It'd be
I'm not that
wonderful.
weird friend that's like, it's just one drink. You should just have it. Not that friend.
Exactly.
Not gonna
Kristen
do
Bird
that.
Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Kristen, you're a genius as usual. And you and Vinny together, when you hook up, I want to hear the first one. It'll be brilliant.
You can call in, Tom. That would be great.
Yeah, I'll call in.
That would be fun.
I
It would
will
be so
definitely-
much
I
fun.
will
All right,
definitely call in.
Vinny, I'm holding you to it. You said it on
We're gonna
camera.
do it. Yeah, we're gonna make it happen.
How many TV specials you got now, Vinny? I just watched a couple of your TV. You got how many?
I've done 4 documentaries.
4 documentaries.
Okay, so see, there's a little story. Tom's watching television. I
Yeah.
walk through, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. I walk through, I'm like, that guy looks familiar. I'm like, Tom, what are you watching? He's like, I don't know, some documentary about something. I'm like, that's Vinny. He's like, is it?
And you weren't wearing a hat, so I didn't know it was you.
Yeah, it's Vinny. Yeah. I can't-
Catherine, which one was he watching?
It was impossible. It was about the Impossible Burger. Beyond
Yeah.
Impossible. That's what
Yes,
Yeah.
right. It was the Impossible Burger.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that was the third one.
That was the third one.
Yeah, people, it's weird because now people they'll introduce me as documentarian,
Oh.
and I'm not. And
Well, you've
when
made it
people,
before.
yeah, I have, right? So you would think at some point, or when I show up at a party and people go, "He's a best-selling author," and when I hear those words associated with my name, I was like, "No, I'm a fitness trainer." Do they not know that I'm a fitness trainer? That's
Okay.
what my job is. It's like, Tom, you're a radio guy, right? If you started driving NASCAR, right, which
Yes.
is probably not a good idea for you.
Not a good idea at all.
No, don't.
Even if you
Never
won the
do it.
championship next year and people went, that's Tom Bernard, the NASCAR champion, you would go, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm a radio guy.
A radio guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Vinny is with us. Always good news. It's time for Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities. Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities, the memory care facilities, are a place where your loved one will live with pride and dignity. Very important. If you care deeply about someone in your life, Wellshire is the place I highly recommend. Wellshire is a memory care focused facility that has a full nursing team, always staffed within the building 24 hours a day. 7 days a week. They've never used or relied on any staffing agencies. Wellshire Medina is now accepting elderly waivers after 12 months of private pay. I know them personally, and they are a family-owned local company conveniently located right in Medina and Bloomington. They are the best staffed memory care facility in the state. Wellshire has a robust community with activities 7 days a week. If your loved one is in need of a memory care facility, please get in touch with my friends at Wellshire. Set up a tour or learn more at wellshiremn.com. That's WEALSHIREMN.com.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain and chip issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? Inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608 and set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold, investment consultant, LLC security investment advisor. Past performance, no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. Vinnie Tortorich with us, ladies and gentlemen. And I love the fact that you and Kristen Burt might get in business together or
Get in
appear
business
on whatever. Yeah, I didn't want to say hook up. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that. You know,
Work together. How
work
about
together.
that?
Yeah, work together.
There we go.
Now, Vinnie, you're going to love her. She's terrific. She's been with us for what, 14 years or something?
Since almost the very beginning.
Vinnie,
Yeah, almost 13.
13 years, and I've never met her in person, Vinnie.
Nope.
No.
That's probably a good thing.
Well, you mean on her part. That's good that she didn't have to put up with it.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah, I've been watching your documentaries. I love them. It's man. At first, I didn't know because you looked like you had blonde hair in that one the first one I watched.
Really? No, I'm jet black. Well, it's gray now. I barely have hair anymore.
I wear that you and I got the baseball
Red
cap
light
on.
cap.
Yeah, and I'm not embarrassed about being bald.
No.
But you walk outside for 5 minutes and the top of your head is on fire. So
Right.
I
Yep.
make a habit of having hats all around the house, and before I walk outside, I throw one on.
Good idea.
It's the best idea in the world. But the documentaries, when the first one came around, I did it begrudgingly. This guy Peter Pardini was just coming off of an award-winning documentary he did about the band Chicago. It's called Now More Than Ever. And that was back in the days when I did the Adam Carolla show every other week.
Sure.
So I did the first half of the show, and then another guest would come on for the second half. And I was giving my seat up to this guy who I had never met before, Peter Pardini. And Peter, as a matter of fact, you should have Peter on this show. He's a very interesting guy.
I love it. I love new guests.
Remind me, Andy, and we'll make that happen.
Okay.
Because he's got something coming out right now that you guys might be interested in. Well, I'm giving my seat up to Peter, and he says to me, "Hey, man, I'm a big fan, and I've lost umpty-ump amounts of weight following your stuff."
Well, that's good.
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, man, that's cool. Thanks. All right." And when I left the studio, I wrote his name down because, I was like, who is this guy? I go home, I Google him, and next thing you know, I'm watching, this Chicago doc, which was fabulous. So I called him and I said, Peter, pleasure meeting you the other day. I watched your documentary and it was great. I would love to have you come on and talk about it on my podcast. And that's when after the podcast, he says, you should be doing a documentary on all of the stuff you've been putting out. And I said, I don't think that's going to happen because I'm not going to put, Adam Carolla told me, only put as much money into a documentary as you're willing to never see again.
Right.
So Peter goes, you're a pretty popular dude. You could probably crowdfund this. I'll do a lot of work on the house. I'll get some people to show up, at a fraction of the cost. He goes, we could put this together for $150,000. And that sounded crazy to me. And I said, well, I'm not going to put that money up either. And he goes, we can crowdfund it. And that's when I went, okay, because I knew no one was going to give me $150,000. Well, I was right. They didn't give us 150. They gave us 250.
Ooh.
By the time we stopped crowdfunding. And now I felt obligated to make a movie. And that's the one you should see. It was the first one. It's called Fat.
Yeah, we saw that one.
We saw that one, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the #1 movie that's ever been put out by Gravitas Ventures. Now, notice I didn't say the #1 documentary. It's the #1 movie that a major distribution company has ever put out. Right? And we don't know why, other than it just tells the truth about how we got fat as a nation.
Well, I remember watching it and being so mad for so long.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, are we being lied to?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look like I need a tinfoil hat in that documentary, but it's all facts. You know, we back up every fact
Exactly.
that's in that documentary.
Well, for comparison, by the way, here is you in Beyond Impossible.
Oh, look at that.
Look at all that hair. See?
Look at that handsome devil.
No wonder we couldn't tell.
Yeah, same amount of hair. And by the way, that was only 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
right? I guess Beyond was 2 or 3. I almost have a Ronald Reagan amount of hair on my head,
Ronald Reagan.
but there's none in the back. It's just in the front.
Oh, it's that deal. Yeah.
That's where you
Yep.
need it, you know? Just don't turn around.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you just look straight into the camera.
Don't turn around.
We talked about you last week, was it, Andy, about that new study that came out about people that are doing the keto stuff,
Yeah.
that the cholesterol, even if their cholesterol goes up, it's not causing plaque.
Well, that's something I've been yelling about on the podcast for 13 years now. So the whole idea behind cholesterol, and by the way, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I have the top medical professionals, not just in the United States, but from around the world, coming onto my Friday show every week. This is not information from my mouth. This is from their mouths. The way it's always been explained to me is we need cholesterol
Sure.
to propagate. Every cell in our body uses cholesterol. The fact that we try to lower this fat lipid into oblivion is ridiculous. As a matter of fact, before we started checking cholesterol, doctors would always say a cholesterol of 300 is perfectly normal, right? So we got into this idea that somehow cholesterol is blocking your arteries. And Catherine, you just said it perfectly. It's plaque.
Right.
And so if I went to a cardiologist today, any cardiologist, walk down the street and I'll go, is cholesterol good or bad? They're going to go, it's bad. And if I say, well, why? They'll go, well, it clogs your arteries. And I'll go, okay, you're a cardiologist. What's actually clogging the artery? And they'll say plaque. And I'll go, where does the cholesterol come in? Does cholesterol cause plaques? No, inflammation causes plaques. So, okay, so why are you blaming cholesterol on something that something else is doing? Right? So cholesterol does not cause plaques. As a matter of fact, cholesterol goes in and adheres to the plaques so that it can somehow remove it from the artery walls, right? So cholesterol is trying to remove plaques. So in other words, the way it's been explained to me is, it's like every time you see a house that just burned down, you see a bunch of firemen rolling up their hoses, you would conclude that, oh, firemen causes fires. Well, why is that? Every time a house that just burned down, there are firemen in the front yard. That's the way it's explained. So one has nothing to do with the other, is what it comes down to.
Well, why do they keep pushing this narrative? I don't get it.
Money.
Yeah,
Money.
it is
It's
money.
simple as money. Would you like you want me to be Woodward or Bernstein here?
Either one. Well, so if a doctor, when a doctor writes a prescription, see, I'm not totally clear on how this works. Do they get a little bit of money? Are they like an endorser for that product? I mean, do they make money off of?
Maybe. But you see, doctors cannot make money directly off of a drug.
Okay.
Understand that,
Yeah.
right? You because then the prisoners would be running the asylum, so you can't allow that.
Right.
But there are ways around that. So, when you go to the doctor and they show you your blood test and it's like red, green, and red, and they want all the numbers to be in the little red area.
Right.
The truth of the matter is, and I've had many doctors admit this to me over a drink, they don't know what they're looking at either.
Well, this is comforting.
They just want it. If it's in a green area, then they're fine.
It's
If
true.
it's in the red area, either way, excuse my language, they go and Google that shit right before they walk in
Yeah,
and
'cause it-
tell you what's going on.
Great.
They're doing what you're doing. I'm not making this up. Doctors were taught how, they're not taught to teach people how to be well. When people walk in sick, they give them a drug to put a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Right.
So when you go in with cholesterol, as I said earlier, cholesterol, a normal number used to be 300. But then we came up with a statin. So why were statins created? And believe it or not, Catherine, I'm going to get to your question.
Okay.
But this is the backdoor way in. Statins were created for people who had, bypass surgery, or they had a stent put in or something like that, because statins are going to lower your cholesterol and cause blood to flow a lot easier through the hardware that's now in your heart.
Okay.
Okay. What they figured out was that statins naturally, or not naturally, through a chemical, lower your LDL, the one that they call the bad cholesterol. It's not bad cholesterol, it's just cholesterol, right?
The lousy cholesterol.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not the lousy one. It's just one of the lipids amongst all of the cholesterol lipids. So they noticed that you can lower it a percentage. So they went from 300 to 250, and they said, okay, if you don't have a cholesterol of 250, you remember that green area, then we have to get it in there. So how do we do that? We could do it with this drug. So now they're getting drunk on money. They're selling a lot more drug, right, to get people in that green area. Then the statin companies went, wait a minute. What if we lower it to 225? We got more,
God.
right? Now they're telling you, get it as low as you can. And guess what low LDLs are associated with? Increased cancer risk of also, right? We need LDLs to live. Now, there is a particle within LDLs, and this is beyond my scope, but it's called small dense particles, and it comes under ApoA and ApoB, which is a protein within the cholesterol. And if you have that, you could have heart disease. So you see, they took an inkling of truth that about 5% of the population have, and then put everyone on a drug.
Right.
Right? So there is no bad LDL. There could be a particle within LDL that like 5% of the community of the population may have. And that's how they created this whole thing. So do they make money? Well, you can't take the money from the statin companies. But doctors don't work for themselves anymore. Notice when you go to a doctor, they work for a bigger group.
Right.
The group says, hey, Catherine, you're a doctor here? Okay, the party line is if they don't have a cholesterol of 175, put them on cholesterol meds. You do this, you do that, you do the other thing. If someone dies of a heart attack, we're going to back you up because we're paying your insurance, your malpractice insurance. And we're going to send lawyers in. You're covered, Catherine. Just go willy-nilly. We got you covered.
Okay.
Right? So doctors will not break away from that, right? Because they don't want to get screwed on the back end. They're
Sure.
running scared.
I think one of my favorite, and by favorite I mean that very ironically, doctor experiences that I had. You reminded me of it when you said doctors Googling shit. So I went into the ER one time. This was ages ago. I went into the ER with abdominal pain. And, eventually, many, many years later, we figured out it was my gallbladder. But back then I didn't know. So I just went to the ER. And I described my symptoms to the ER doctor. And he's like, that's weird. He pulls out his smartphone and Googles my symptoms. I'm like,
No effing way.
I don't think I should be here
Well,
anymore.
I read something the other day that it was like AI has been used to diagnose people with things within a few minutes of like these patients that have been going to
Mhm.
try to get answers for things for years.
What's the thing is, a lot of doctors, they get hyper fixated on one or two symptoms. It's like you'll come to them with 5 symptoms and they'll pick one of them as like their pet symptom, and they'll think everything else revolves around that. So it's like, so for example, my gallbladder issue, I was telling doctors that I was having like heartburn. So they were like, "Oh, okay, you got heartburn. Let's get you on some antacids. Oh, those aren't working. We'll get you on some more. It's not working. We'll get you on a different one. Let's have you. Let's get you in for surgery to fix your acid reflux. We'll get a throat surgery for you." It was like a year at least of that, just constant testing and switching of drugs, until I went and saw a new doctor. And they were like, let's do this scan for your gallbladder. Why not? Because it's, takes no time at all. And they're like, oh, look at that. Your gallbladder's not working. So if any of them had thought about the symptoms outside of just the heartburn, I would have gotten my answer in no time at all.
Well,
but it took a new doctor with a new perspective on it to
that actually knew something.
Well,
Yeah.
so many doctors are just,
Crap.
A lot of them are.
Well, they
so
just want to
bad.
find a Band-Aid for your problem.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, we don't need to get to a root cause. We just got to,
Well, but it's like you're a doctor.
hopefully
Like,
you can,
wouldn't the
Throw a
easiest
pill
thing
down your
be
throat.
to say, okay, I'm going to schedule for this HIDA scan. Go do it. Get out of my office. $500, please. Because that's what I needed. So they could have just done that in the first place, and it would have been low effort for them too. I just don't get why no one ever thought to do any scans.
Well, Andy, I had, apropos to what you're talking about, I had a doctor at the house here last week. He and his wife were staying here with Serena and me. And I'm 62, he's 60. He's retiring in 2 years. He's a general surgeon. And he was explaining to me that he doesn't exist anymore in the wild. So once people like him are done operating, there will be no more general surgeons, right? It's all specialized. Notice the
Yeah.
doctors, everybody's a specialist now. They just work on your nose or your toe or your eye or your lips.
Yep.
Everyone works.
It's true.
It's like everyone is super specialized. There is no general surgeon. And he was explaining to me that, and this is a doctor, this guy's been a doctor for 40 years or something. And he tells me he's worried about when he gets older, because he sees what's going on in medical care right now. He goes, we won't be able to get good help. The people who will be taking care of us in the next 15 or 20 years, we won't be getting good help, because you're going to end up like you, where you went in with all these symptoms, they picked one and started giving you drugs for the one, right? They're trying to mask a symptom on you, Andy, right? Not trying to find the root cause, period. Which is sad.
It is sad, and I don't even know if the education systems can churn out a doctor anymore. I mean, Harvard, isn't it Harvard? That has to have remedial math now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It used
well,
to-
don't get me started on Harvard. Harvard's not even a university anymore. It's an endowment
No,
program.
it's horrible.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Vinny, do you have to be out on at any specific time?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
Whenever
good.
I hear Tom is bringing me in, I just open up the schedule.
Oh, now because I never shut up. Is that what you're saying?
No,
I got to
just
take
like-
a quick break, though. We'll be right back. And I'm hoping there's a guy that joins us usually at the bottom of the hour named Josh Arnold. I hope Josh
Yes,
can make
I
it.
will be calling
Oh,
him,
Alex, you got to go, huh?
And then, yes, she has to go.
I had
Okay, Alex
another-
has to go.
I'll
Bye,
call him
hon.
right
Bye,
after
honey.
this break.
Yes, bye, honey. So we'll take a break. Vinny gave you the honey. That was good. We'll take a quick break, come back, and Vinny will be joined. You and Josh Arnold together. Oh, my God. This is going to be a treat for everybody on this planet. When
How
they
do you
hear
feel
this.
about finances?
Me? You're asking me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Time for a break.
Go, because I have a lot to say about finance.
Oh, there
Okay,
you
we'll
go.
be right back. I knew it. There is a God. That's all I have to say. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the show here. Whether you're a local business or a national brand, we offer custom advertising packages designed to fit your unique needs and goals. And don't forget, look, I got to mention this once in a while because for about 25, 30 years, I was one of the top voiceover guys in America, in the world, actually. And so you're not going to have some hunyuk doing your spots. I'll do them for you, no question about it. We target marketing too. Targeted marketing works. Our audience spans multiple demographics. It spans everybody, basically, allowing you to target your ideal customers with precision, from millennials to baby boomers and everybody in between. And you can increase your brand awareness, which is very, very important. With my broad reach and passionate following, your business will see increased visibility and awareness, translating into more customers and sales. So ready to get started? All you have to do is visit tombernardshow.com, click on the Partner tab, and let's discuss how we can work together to grow your business. Thank you very much. And of course, just you can reach out, Tom Bernard Show. Can't wait to talk to you. Thanks.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
Let's talk about my bank. That'd be North American Banking Company. Look, it's easy to feel like just another account number at the big national banks, but that's not how it works with my friends at North American Banking Company. Whether you're visiting the other locations in Roseville and France, 50th in France, of course, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, Maple Grove, you'll always find real people who know you by name and actually care about your finances, not some AI chatbot. They also offer all the modern conveniences you expect, like online and mobile banking, but with a personal touch that only a community bank can offer. So why settle for less when you can bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Visit nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Vinnie Tortorich with us. Well, Vinnie, where are you from originally?
From Louisiana. I grew up on the bayou.
That's right. You told me that before, a guy from Louisiana. That'd be interesting.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay, so every once in a while, there's like some new health guru that's hitting the, YouTube and everything, all social media really, really hard. I've just come aware of this guy, Dr. Gundry. Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, he
the lectin guy, now lectins. You can't have a lectin.
Well, yeah, that he was out maybe 2 or 3 years. I remember he was out about 4 years ago because I was on stage. Okay. I was on stage in San Francisco, and at the end of my speech, someone goes, "Have you ever heard of this Dr. Gundry?" And it's like, yeah, don't let him scare you. Basically, what these guys are doing, these doctors are looking around, figuring out, wait, I can't make a living being a doctor anymore. Therefore, because it's true, right?
It is true, yeah.
So let me get on the internet and scare people into submission, right? So they find, it's kind of like what Andy was saying with his regurgitating and his esophageal thing and the whole deal. They take one thing and they spotlight it, and then that becomes the whole problem, right? And then they'll start talking about, if you eat a tomato, it's trying to kill you, right? Because the tomato is full of these lectins and this and that and the whole thing. Remember, I was the guy who started this, and then it became a meme. I always say, go back to Woodstock, 1969. Find the fat person. Find the person that's out of shape.
Right.
These people were drinking, swilling wine, drinking beer, and doing drugs. And they look better than the average person that finishes an Ironman triathlon today.
They did. You're right.
They just looked better. I'm sorry.
That's true.
Right? They were all lean and mean, and they were eating lectins, and they were eating meat, and they were eating vegetables. They just weren't eating processed junk. Gundry's another guy that's fear-mongering people into thinking that one thing is going to kill you, unfortunately.
All right. Well, he's just all of a sudden has been popping up all over. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been, I talked about you or something, and so now I'm getting
Yeah, now you're getting his stuff.
like health stuff. No, like health stuff. You know how that
Well,
is.
no, that's what
They
happens.
they target you, right?
Yeah, once you go down one road, like
Yeah.
the other day, I mentioned I was on the freeway. This is a true story. And usually when someone says a true story, it's a lie, but this is really a true story. I'm on a freeway and this guy passes me and he's got a trailer with this beautiful Donzi boat on the back. And I'm telling my buddy, he's like, oh my God, this guy just passed me and this guy got a Donzi. When I was a kid, I thought that was the coolest boat ever. And it's like, man, I always said one day I'm going to get a Donzi and I'm going to be cool like Miami Vice. And that night, I started getting ads for boats.
Exactly.
And water skis, like water, those ski
Jet skis.
Yeah, that kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've never gotten that before in my life, right?
You said the word.
I set it into my car and it went into my phone and they figured out how to get that ad to me. So that's why you're seeing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is amazing. It just, that's the world now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
You know what I got to do, Vinny? I got to get you a sponsor. So you could kind of be forced to be on with us all the time. Get you a good sponsor, and you could make some dough.
Maybe
Seriously.
Dr. Gundry.
Yeah, Dr. Gundry could
Gundry.
sponsor you. There you go. No, I just love your honesty. Your, well, the guy I was telling you about, Josh Arnold. I think is Josh going to be on today, Andy?
I believe he is with us.
Oh, he's with us now. Josh is a very honest guy. Now, this is going to be interesting, having a guy from Louisiana on with a guy from Rhode Island.
Oh, boy.
He goes, oh, boy.
Go wrong.
What did you say? I'm from Louisiana?
No, Vinny's from Louisiana.
Oh, I like Louisiana.
And I like Rhode Island, so there you go.
There you go.
I'm not from Rhode Island.
Well,
I only passed through Rhode Island.
Oh, I thought you said I thought you lived in Providence for a while.
No, I didn't live in Providence. I lived in Camden, Haddon Township, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Well, that's right.
Harrisburg,
Yeah, that's right.
Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Akron, Ohio. Minneapolis, and now the best place of all, Edina.
Dinah, there you go. Well, I love the fact that you're on the show today, Josh Arnold, with us today, Vinnie Tortorich. I just want to sit back and listen to you two talk about the world because you both have these brilliant takes on the world. You do your research. You know what's real and what isn't. Vinnie, meet Josh. Josh, meet Vinnie. I'm going to sit back and shut up and just listen.
How you doing, Josh?
I am doing pretty good.
Good. And by the way, Tom always calls me Totoro, which I like better. That's why I don't correct him, but it's actually Tortorich.
Oh, it's Tortorich. That's right.
Yeah.
Who is? I did know a Tortoro. That was where the problem came
Yeah,
from.
but you know what? I love the actor John Turturro. So so it's like I'll stick with. Please keep calling me that.
No.
Because I'm thinking about changing it now.
So it's Tortorich.
Yeah.
I will go with Vinnie Tortorich. VT. We'll just call you VT.
You can do that.
JA for Josh Arnold and VT. So, yeah, we've been talking a lot about health and all the rest of it. Josh is a guy I turn to. I just talked to Josh about the next several years in my life, what I'm going to do. Josh is a financial guy. But Josh, you pay attention to everything in the news and all the rest of it. So it's not just about the dollars. You know a lot about a lot of things, just like Vinnie does.
Yeah, I do know a lot about a lot of things, but I've been accused that the only thing I really concentrate on is stocks and money and not anything else. That's my frame of reference.
Well, what I like about it...
That's true. That's a fair assessment. That is my business. And I try to, take care of my clients as best I can, trying to increase their wealth over time and therefore help them increase the income they generate from their investments over time. This is a very, difficult period of time in the market. at least the last several weeks.
I want to ask everybody this question because I looked back and I looked for and I found this piece of information I was looking for, because for some reason, and maybe you guys go through the same thing, no matter what the president does, whether it's a Democrat, it's a Republican, whether it's, Donald Trump or it's Joe Biden or whatever, I used to get the messages every single day. Joe Biden is going to drive this country into bankruptcy. It's going to be just horrible. We got to do something about this. It's just terrible. Now Donald Trump, and I've known Donald Trump for 25, 30 years because he used to come on the show a lot. But now I'm getting the messages, we're coming to an end. It's over. Donald Trump's going to wipe us out. So
there's always a Great Depression about a month or two lurking in the corner at all times.
So all of you, Andy, Catherine, Vinnie, and Josh, tell me, how could it be both true or untrue with Joe Biden and Donald Trump? They were both going to drive the economy into the toilet. So far, it hasn't happened. Why do people really want somehow to believe that they can call the Great Depression coming back? What is that all about?
Can I start?
Sure.
Yeah, go right ahead. I was just waiting to hear what somebody else had to say.
There you go.
Okay, so every time a commercial airliner crashes, everyone says, I knew it, I had a premonition, I had a feeling.
Right.
The reason being is every time you get on a plane, the person who drops you off goes, oh my God, I hope this is not the one that crashes. We do it subconsciously, right?
Oh,
we're always predicting this demise, right? And when it eventually happens, everyone goes, I told everyone, I knew it, I had a feeling in my heart.
It's true.
The same goes with everything. So, the economy is going to be the economy. You take, during you mentioned, I'm going to use the two you mentioned, Tom. You have, and please, Josh, back me up and tell me I'm an idiot. During the Biden administration, we decided to print money like it was going out of style.
Sure did.
You don't have to be an economist to figure out that's going to eventually bite you in the ass, right? You can't.
Caused a lot of inflation.
Right. It causes inflation. It devalues the dollar. And all of a sudden, people are going, why are my eggs $10? Why is my gas $6? Well, because you've devalued the dollar.
Yep.
Right. So there's got to be a correction on that. And I personally think that's what we're seeing now. Josh, tell me I'm wrong.
You're right on the fact that the government printed an awful lot of money, and it was not just during the Biden administration, it was during the Trump administration to help people out from what I call the government-mandated recession. And that started in 2020, March of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
COVID.
So we're talking five years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We had a government-mandated recession.
Sure. We sure did.
Okay, and we printed a lot of money to help people out, and it took, and then during the Biden administration, that continued in spades. So yes, there's a lot of money, and the definition of inflation, more money chasing fewer goods, pushing prices up. And yes, you are going to have a correction. And right now we are going through another government-induced pullback in the markets that may, and I'm not saying guaranteed, it may cause a economic slowdown, and this could be, again, like 2020, something that happens on a worldwide basis, and this would come not from a lab in Wuhan, this comes from a lab at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. um, and that's this um, tariff policy, which is designed not necessarily to benefit the United States, but is designed to punish, I'll say, our trading partners for, we'll say, perceived and real injustices to the United States in the form of trade. And this policy, which has been put forth, and this, I'm taking some words from a Wall Street Journal editorial today, which was titled Musk versus Navarro. This agenda has been pushed by the Steve Bannon wing of MAGA, which is designed to put up high barriers to entry to the United States. And this is a wing not only personified by Steve Bannon, but pushed forward by Steve Miller and Peter Navarro, that is, we'll say, protectionist and isolationist. And their belief is that the United States is still number one. Everybody has got to come to trade with us. They don't have to go elsewhere. And their views are in a total vacuum. Navarro, has stated that Apple, which is committed to spending $500 billion over the next few years to build several more manufacturing plants in the United States to manufacture high-end servers for artificial intelligence, as well as to create a school to train technical people in manufacture of these high-end servers for artificial intelligence, but also training them in artificial intelligence. And Apple figures to hire, we'll say, 20 to 30,000 people in short order to do that, in addition to the, we'll say, 160,000 plus people that they have right now operating their existing 24 manufacturing plants. But in Navarro's world, that's not good enough. Apple should reshore their iPhone manufacturing process to the United States. And until Apple does that, Apple is, in his view, persona non grata. Now, he and Steve Miller, Steve Bannon, are of this wing of MAGA that is very much against big technology, pharmaceuticals, and in my estimation, and against pro-growth policies in the United States, and want to use the U.S. government to punish their rivals. The Musk agenda is probably more like mine, where Musk is called Peter Navarro very nicely a moron.
Nicely.
And I would add that his economic agenda relating to tariffs seems like something he pulled out of his butt. And there has been nothing from the government that shows any economic study, any academic study that shows that this formulation for tariffs makes sense and can work without causing undue pain to middle class and we'll call it economically challenged families, because it's only going to increase prices. Musk's views, much like mine, he favors a low or zero tariff agenda. He is looking for pro-growth tax and regulatory structure, and is also, we'll call it pro-legal immigration to bring in the best and the brightest minds and push America on a forward agenda. So I am for that. So
There you go.
what we've got now is this, we'll say, conflict that's showing up in the markets right now, and has created a tremendous amount of uncertainty and a lot of retribution. The president is going around saying, well, we're taking in $8 billion a day in, tariff revenue. Well, that's nice. What was it before you introduced this tariff policy that you have that has created a mess, and you're digging in your heels about this without knowing any of the consequences. And when I said thinking in a vacuum, the thinking is that because you said it, it is so, and there's not going to be any pushback from any other country.
Josh, can I butt in here?
Yeah,
my,
I'm sorry for going on.
That was very clear. I call him my brother-in-law, but it's actually my sister-in-law's husband, John Mickleswaite, who runs Bloomberg News. He interviewed Trump during the election, and that was that interview. He's the very kind British guy who let Trump. Trump kept going, tariffs. We love tariffs. Oh, I love tariffs. That interview.
Right.
And John kept bringing up the fact that, hey, listen, Western Europe, you can't just hammer away at Western Europe and just start throwing needless tariffs on the people who have been trying to work with you for all these years. And it sounds like you agree with that, right? Is there any way, shape, or form that tariffs should be used? And when you think of a country like China, for instance, where there was only tariffs in one direction and not the other direction.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So is there any good tariff, or I don't know if any country considers a tariff on them good, but is there any room in your thought to where some tariffs should be presented?
In my view, no. It should be a zero tariff environment.
So zero both ways, all the way around.
Yeah, zero both ways. China has tariffs, because China has been and will always be a mercantile, we'll say a mercantile country or mercantile economy. It has been that way in China for centuries. And I'm not talking, 1 or 2 centuries. I'm talking recorded history. And so that is what China wants. China wants to trade with the world for China's benefit. China does not want to conquer the world. If they had wanted to do that, I'm not going to say we'd be speaking Chinese here, but that would have happened a very long time ago, and it has never happened. The only thing that I'll say China wants is Taiwan.
Right.
They do.
But, aside from that, China is not looking to conquer the world.
But can we look at Josh?
And they do want, more, we'll call it economic freedom, and they're willing to take and or steal intellectual property. So if you want to put some limits on what they or any other country can get around that, I think you've got organizations that are supposed to, govern that. But I can't, but intellectual property, I think that has been taken in every industry for, I'll say, as long as I can remember.
Well, I remember in 2019, when it was just trade war headlines constantly, trade war, and it ended up increasing the market by 30%.
Well,
in my opinion,
that's a lot different.
But in my opinion, that's what he's doing, is basically doing a trade war with tariffs. Because there have been countries that have had agreements that they would send us $100 billion worth of this, and we would send them, whatever. And it's always been one-sided. They're never taking any of our stuff.
Well, I just disagree with that.
Well, okay.
I just disagree. We do not make.
But wait, hang on, Josh. So just taking Catherine. Can he hear us?
We're not going to be making a lot of things here in the United States. I mean, if you want to go back like Navarro does to making, we'll say, T-shirts and underwear here in the United States for the masses, if you want to see your everyday low prices at Walmart, go up, 40 or 50%, okay, you can do that.
But Josh, I'm a guy. I own 3 companies that produce products, and they're all made in the United States. A vitamin company, a foods company, and a coffee company. Obviously, the coffee is made all over the world, but we roast it here.
Okay.
I can easily go to other countries and make these products, especially the vitamins, at a fraction of the cost. So guys like me have always said, hey, let's put people to work here in America. But when I talk to other businessmen like myself, and you find out that, we in order to compete at any level, we have to go to China or somewhere else to get the stuff made and then sent back over. Don't you feel that if the reason we don't make anything in this country is because you can't make it at a price to where the rest of the world will buy it right now because we can't scale, right? I'm a guy that scales, right? I'll make products, but I can't make a living scaling the product, right? So I have to make a certain amount before I make $1, right? Before I can bring the prices down enough on those vitamins or on the food product. My question to you is, yeah, this is going to hurt for 5 minutes, but if we could bring some manufacturing back here. I
think he's in a spaceship at this point. I'm not sure.
So. I am in a spaceship.
The question is, if you could get off of your spaceship, Mr. Elon Musk.
I'm with Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and we're in a new spaceship.
You're Katy Perry.
You and Katy Perry there.
So the question becomes, yeah, this is going to hurt for 5 minutes, but if we can bring manufacturing back to this country, if we can start making textiles here, I mean, come on, our Levi jeans are made over in Japan, right? This is an American company. Wouldn't it be great if we can start doing this in South Carolina or North Carolina, or wherever the hell they used to do cotton, right? Can we bring that back here? And then somehow correct the market. We can put more people to work. Can we do that in a zero-sum economy?
Let's talk about people working. We have 4% unemployment in the United States. On the other hand, we've got a job participation rate of 62.5%.
Right.
And that level has been fairly constant for, at least, I would say at least 15 years. So you've got a large percentage of the population who either is retired or doesn't want to work for whatever reason. And even if you move, we'll say, Levi jeans manufacturer back to South Carolina, maybe they're not going to have, or maybe they're not going to be able to get the employees to manufacture the jeans.
Not as long as we keep giving people money to stay home. You're not.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm not the government.
Well, but you see, the government has been doing that.
I'm not a Democrat or a Republican who says we're going to give you money not to work, or we're going to give you money to work, but you can stay home. You don't have to come into a manufacturing plant. And there had been a reason, we'll say, that an American company, Levi Strauss, moved the bulk of their production offshore.
Well, the reason's always money. We don't have to look around for the reason.
No.
We know the reason.
Okay. I mean, I've got to me, we manufacture an awful lot of things here in the United States, but they're more in the form of digits and intellectual property.
Right. But Josh, you can say that's not a good argument, because we can say we manufacture a lot of stuff here, but then when you look at where the products are coming from, it's all coming from China, right? So yeah, we are. Look, we had a crisis. We couldn't build a car here or in Germany because no one could get a chip, right? We had a chip crisis back in 2020 or 2021 because we weren't manufacturing that stuff here, right? So there's a lot of things
We actually were manufacturing chips here, but all the plants were shut down.
For what reason?
COVID. The government shut all the plants down.
Right. For what reason again?
Your workers come to work, but there were an awful lot of manufacturing plants that shut down. Government said can't be working because we're worried about the spread of COVID.
God, what a scam that turned out to be.
Sure did.
If you're shutting down your foundries that make chips here, and there are foundries that make a lot of the chips that are used for cars here, they were shut down, or a lot of their inventory had been bought up and stored in anticipation of a shutdown, and companies ran out of that. But that happened with a lot of other things all around the world.
All right, I just got a call from God. Said there's only 24 hours in the day, so we got to get going here. Josh, thank you so much, Pally.
Okay, thank you. Vinny, good luck with what kind of vitamins do you make?
My company is called purevitaminclub.com. I started making vitamins that have no excipients or flow agents. It's only pure vitamins. There's nothing else in them. And I guarantee that because not only am I the president, owner of the company, I third-party test everything that comes off of every line. We have 5 different companies, maybe 6 that we work with around the country. And we go in and pull my vitamins off the line and third-party test them every single time. So you're getting exactly what's in the bottle.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm happy to pay for, a good multivitamin.
Well, Josh, can I tell you this really fast? I don't mean to turn this into an infomercial for my product, but here goes.
There you go.
I
do take vitamins. So
well, you're going to love this. My whole idea behind creating a vitamin was to make the Toyota or the Honda of vitamins, meaning the best product you can buy at the lowest price. In other words, you could pay more for a Rolls Royce or a Mercedes, but the fact of the matter is a Honda or a Toyota is a better product at a cheaper price. And that's what we do with vitamins. I keep the markup on these things so low that most business people tell me I'm an idiot. So they're very affordable.
Never listen to most people.
Well, I like to hear that. And just, if you give Tom your address or where I can get the vitamins or order them, I'm happy to do that.
Go to purevitaminclub.com, or you can go to Amazon. We're a pretty big company. Yeah.
All right, Andy has all the numbers anybody needs too, so Andy's the guy, not me. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much for like I said, we gotta. Josh, I love having you on, but we gotta come up with a sponsor for Vinnie. Maybe your own company can sponsor you to be on the show every week. I love having you on.
Can we get you?
I can't afford.
Oh, that's a great business plan. We should make him pay for us to have him on, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't like Catherine anymore. I used to love her.
All right, we got to take a break, but thank you so much, Vinny. Thank you, Josh. We'll talk to y'all soon. We'll be right back to close things up right after this. Sioux Falls, Dakota is one of the Sioux Falls. South Dakota is one of the most business-friendly states in the country, and there's no better place to settle down, take advantage of those incentives than in Sioux Falls. As the state's largest city with a metro population over 290,000, Sioux Falls has low business costs with a high quality of life. There's no state, corporate, or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, no limits to what your business can achieve. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, was recently ranked number 1 best small city for business and careers by Forbes, number 2 best state business tax climate by the Tax Foundation, and the number 5 top state for e-commerce by Nexus. As one of the Midwest's fastest growing cities, Sioux Falls has a robust growing job market. No matter where you're at in your career, we have an opportunity waiting for you. Our city's tax-friendly climate and strong workforce don't go unrecognized. Forbes named Sioux Falls one of the top cities for small business careers, each the last 15 years, as a matter of fact. 2020, Sioux Falls also ranked as the number 4 best city for young professionals. That's very important. How does South Dakota stack up against the other states? Well, we rank 2nd in the nation for the lowest cost of doing business, the most business-friendly state, and the best business tax climate. And as South Dakota's biggest city, Sioux Falls is at the center of these benefits. Now is the perfect time to make your move to Sioux Falls. Visit SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's show brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. One of my favorite things, having Vinnie Tortorich. I don't know why I want to keep calling him Tortoro, but it's Tortorich.
I used to know a woman that I swear was a Nancy. She was never a Nancy. I knew she wasn't Nancy, and I kept calling her Nancy every time I saw her because she looked like a Nancy to me.
I want to get Josh and Vinnie back on together again. Those conversations stimulate the hell out of people, and nobody gets pissed off at anybody and starts screaming and yelling. It was a very intelligent conversation. I loved it, and I'm glad glad our audience got to hear all that. It's wonderful.
Well, this whole tariff thing is going to it's going to shake out in the next few months, and everybody just needs to calm
Yeah,
down.
we'll see how it works.
Exactly. It's either going to work
I
or it's
mean,
not going to
yeah,
work.
it could be.
I guess.
If the companies step up and start manufacturing in America, then hey, that would be great. But I feel like they're
there
going
you
to fight tooth and nail so that they can save their 0.05 cents per unit.
Is Vinny still there?
He is, but he's not on the air. I can.
Oh, okay.
pop him
Yeah, I
back.
was just doing other stuff. If you guys,
Oh, I thought you were.
No big
I
deal.
thought we were
just,
ignoring you.
Vinny, I loved that, and I love it.
Actually, I thought he was probably, after listening to the commercials, looking to put a vitamin plant in South Dakota.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah,
what
it's
about
all
Sioux
I need is just
Falls?
more headaches. Yeah. Yeah,
But
but hey
yeah,
guys, as you know, Tom, Andy can contact me as often as possible. You know, I do nothing except sit at my desk and run businesses. I was doing work the whole time we were talking, and so I'm more than happy to come on as often as you guys would have me.
Okay, I wouldn't do that because I'd have you on every day, so I wouldn't offer your time that freely. But I would love to have you on at least once a week, twice a month, whenever you can do. It's always a great conversation when you're on, Vinny.
You know what? That makes me feel good. I'm glad I stayed on. I just hadn't had a chance to turn my computer off yet, and I was listening
That's
to your
great.
commercials, and here we are.
You and Andy can talk about setting up a schedule that's good for you because I love having you on. You stimulate conversation. That's what I loved about being. I've been in radio since I was 18 years old, so it's been a few years. Me being 73 now.
He's a radio man.
But I just love the conversation. So yes, Andy and Vinny talk about setting some stuff up, and that's going to do it for today. So we'll talk to you tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Vinny.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Every time I hear the singing reminds me how you talking.